Well, it's official, it's going to be dropping this Wednesday, so today we're going to be talking about if you should sell beforehand. Now, if you're planning to sell, it would be because of an operation. If we want to look in history, the one time Valve delivered this same tweet was actually before they dropped Danger Zone, which was such an influential update because CSGO went free to play. They added a brand new case and a brand new game mode. A lot of dynamic shifting happening, and I think there is a decent chance we do see potentially an operation coming along with this, which would actually be very detrimental to anyone that's investing into active duty cases. SkinSwap is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free bonus for signing up with the first link in the description. They're the premier place for CSGO and Rust skins with a massive trading site and a top-of-the-line marketplace, offering you the most competitive rates out there and a massive 40% bonus when you're using that link in the description. Combine that with their top-of-the-line selling feature with many payout options and their trading feature legitimately taking you just about a minute, and there's no reason not to sign up with that first link in the description. Now, I've seen a rise of people talking about active duty cases, believing one's going to get removed relatively soon. I mean, we are now in the longest period in CSGO history without a brand new case. However, if an operation drops, it's very likely we don't see an actual case get kicked out of the active duty pool. That's because we can look at operation cases as being discontinued cases, and therefore they don't actually kick out an active duty case, which would be very detrimental if you're investing into these active duty cases. And holding on to these active duty cases in general, especially when an operation rolls around, is doubly bad, because we can look at what happens to active duty cases. They get hit the hardest out of everything in the entirety of CSGO when it comes to a downfall. That's because they're one of the most liquid items, and especially now that they're at this expensive price point. The Snakebite, which is the cheapest active duty case, is currently sitting at a similar price of what we saw the Clutch case, which was the most expensive active duty case when Riptide came around. We don't know what's going to happen because these things are so expensive, but it's an area I would not personally be interested in. Now, talking about what's going to happen when this operation drops, if that's what it is, we can look at what happens to rare cases, and although rare cases definitely take a quite significant hit, I want to focus in on the fact that they were already starting to rebound just a couple months afterwards, which is strong, but they have a huge upside about them. That's because if an operation doesn't drop, we can look and see what happened here with the previous hype around that April-ish time period. We can see that there was a massive movement for a significant amount of rare cases. I think rare cases have the strongest upside potential, and honestly speaking, have very little downside if an operation does roll around, which is not the case for every other item inside of CSGO. Looking at unboxing numbers, we're currently sitting at about 25 to 30 million per month, which is a decent amount. Compare that to April, where we saw around 41 million actual cases and 50 million total with the Anubis package, and we're looking at a massive potential for the CS2 unboxing hype to once again return. Obviously, you can't open cases yet, but that's very likely to change rather soon, and I think this is just going to be another one of the combination of factors that people are going to be unboxing cases inside of CS2, and we can look at this right here. The cases that get unboxed the most are those cheaper rare cases we consistently talk about. Therefore, I don't think selling off these rare cases is going to be in your best interest. But what about Paris? If we want to look at Paris, it's been on a very interesting trend, especially some of those hollows have finally started to see some pretty massive decreases. Is this going to be happening all across the board? Well, the answer actually is possibly. That's because Paris is right now one of the most liquid items inside of the game. And we can look exactly at what happened with RMR when Riptide was released. That's the only other example we have at the current moment. However, it doesn't look very promising. Obviously, we can see Riptide releasing, and then we can see Stockholm releasing. Therefore, we don't have a ton of area to work with. We got to focus in on the middle area. But in my opinion, I think it's very unlikely that we would see sustained prices for a lot of this area, Paris specifically. We can see with RMR here, it was able to be sustained for a very short time period before Stockholm released, and then it went completely downwards. But that was because these were the first gold stickers ever. We didn't exactly know. But when we're talking about Paris hollows, the fact that they've been out for so long, I think works really negatively against them, especially if we see some brand new content. People are going to be very likely to go ahead and just dip out on some of their investments, considering they could have bought into the sale 3 months ago at this point when it first dropped, and these investments have still not yet moved. Obviously, they knew that, but that also makes it a little bit easier psychologically for these people to go ahead and sell off their investments because they feel like they have seen no growth over the past 3 months. Now, for me personally, would I sell Paris before going into this update? The answer is probably yes. If we're talking about the hollows and the stickers specifically, just because they are sitting at a little bit of an inflated price, they definitely have some room to go down a bit, and I would be really scared if this makes up a large percentage of my portfolio, just because there could be a major update on the horizon where all of the momentum would shift away from Paris and instead to that brand new content. Now, if we're talking about capsules, I think you knew exactly what you're getting into with capsules. capsules, and I don't think selling them off is the smartest move, but that's also your decision. Now, when we talk about certainties, there's really not too much. However, there is one rough, and that's going to be that the fact that filler skins are probably going to be increasing. If we want to look at the trajectory of filler skins over a year-long period, you can see there's a lot of ups and downs. Specifically, when the hype is there, they're up. But when we look at the past month, we can see that we're already starting to see some people hopping in. And personally, when I'm trying to create my biggest video ever and I need over 200 filler skins, it's not too ideal for me personally, but I think a lot of filler skins are probably going to see, once again, a little bit more of an increase. I will say now we're getting to the point with filler skins where they're 40% higher than they were roughly a month ago, and therefore you do need to take that into your consideration that you're potentially paying 40% more, which is not a super easy thing to overcome, especially with filler skins. They peaked at maybe $1.70 last time, and they're already at $1.35, $1.40. You need to make that consideration if you still want to go ahead and invest into this specific area. Therefore, I don't think selling off your filler skins is going to be in the best interest, especially over the next upcoming weeks. However, general skins or just regular play skins are a little bit of a different area. If we want to look at these specifically, obviously they do get swept up in the hype a little bit. However, an operation would most certainly take down a lot of these, especially if we see some brand new content or brand new collections all across the board. I think it's highly likely we do see some brand new skins in the near future. And with that being said, I don't think a lot of play skins are going to drop significantly. However, there is definitely the potential we could see them dropping maybe 10%, 15%, whereas an operation is definitely going to do them potentially a little bit more. In my personal opinion, I don't think you need to necessarily sell off your play skins, but if you picked up some skins just for the fact of flipping them, it might not be a bad idea to try and transition some of that money into a little bit of a different area. In my personal opinion, that's just how I see it. Unless it's a collection skin and you plan to hold on to it for a significant amount of time, play skins are not something we usually see shoot up in value, but they can lose a slight amount of value, especially when we see the hype completely lose its direction from the play skins. I think the number one thing in my opinion I would be looking to sell is active duty cases. We talked about how an operation drops them down potentially 40-50%, and that was previously at a lower price point. They're significantly higher now. But the other thing is we could potentially see not a brand new case, but another collection package like the Anubis collection package we saw. This is another thing like a operation case that is not going to kick out any of these active duty cases. Although we've gone 200 and some days without seeing a brand new case, we could also see a brand new collection package, a brand new operation, which would bring a brand new case that wouldn't kick out any of these active duty cases. And I think looking at the active duty cases as a surefire thing that something is going to get removed in the next upcoming weeks is going to be completely wrong. Now, coming down to what specifically you should do, I think honestly you should definitely have some funds on hand. If an operation comes around, prices potentially could drop, and you're not going to be forced to sell at those lower prices, especially if you want to pick up some of the brand new content, and prices do rebound relatively quickly over the span of a couple months. Now, when it comes to selling off some items, I think the best area is definitely those active duty cases. I think the worst area is those rare cases, and when it comes to skins, it's a little bit of an in-between. I think there's definitely some good and some bad, and when it comes to Paris, I think selling off your capsules is probably going to be a mistake because they haven't really moved. Selling off some of the stickers you have that are the hollows, I think definitely could be a stronger idea, especially if that money means a decent amount to you. But that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.